What is up, YouTubes? Mountain Man Magic, and it's time for us to talk about Standard Rotation. You know, it's that bittersweet time, like the end of summer, where the good times are coming to an end, but that means we're on to new adventures, and I'm excited for some of these cards to honestly get the boot. I'm excited their time, their reign over Standard is coming to an end, but there's going to be a lot of cards I missed too, and some that I do hope recur in some fashion with Throne of Eldraine. And we may not agree on everything. That's totally fine. That's what the comment section's for. I'd love to hear your thoughts on what cards you're happy to see go or kind of sad to see leave as well. But with that, something else that I want to throw out there real quick is that this channel is now sponsored by Card Kingdom, and I could not be more excited. I got some great stuff planned. Hope you'll stick around and see what that's all about. I even added it to the intro, so you can check that out. And without further ado, let's get into it. All right, let's start with the cards that are the best leaving, and by best, I mean it's mostly cards that I'm going to miss the most leaving the format in no particular order. Let's start with Scape Shift, and that's really because of Scape Shift Zombies. It's my favorite deck in Standard by far right now. It got me into doing deck techs again. I just like this deck a lot. It may not be the most consistent thing in the world, but it beats up on control. It deals with mono red and mono blue, which is really all you can ask for in the meta. Maybe I can pull it into like a modern type of deck. I really want to build a modern deck. Is that affordable? Is Scape Shift an affordable option? Nope. Okay, moving on. Next is Lan War Elves. Yes, it's a common, but I don't think we're getting a reprint of a one-drop mana ramper in Throne of Eldraine. I certainly hope they do, but either way, green really needs that early mana ramp because they're trying to build the biggest and baddest creatures out there. And I often think without early ramp like this, that's why green can be seen as one of the weaker colors because it just dies to everything else. It's either too slow or there's not enough interaction in it. I hope we get something in green that lets us do Mother Nature caliber stuff. Do you think someone could honestly stop Mother Nature bringing a landslide onto you? If you have a hurricane just barreling towards you, you think you can just counterspell that? Just flick of the fingers, bye-bye? I mean, I guess technically you can counter it quite easily, actually. Throne of Eldraine, you got to make green competitive. You hear that, Goldilocks? You got some big shoes to fill there, Mr. Gingerbread Man. You don't even wear shoes, so not off to a great start. Next is Hostage Taker, and art-wise, flavor-wise, just gameplay feel, I loved this card. I thought it was fantastic. It wasn't always your best option for the main board, but it's a pirate. It came in and said, I'm stealing your creature, I'm stealing your fancy little treasure over there, unless you can respond to me. Because if you don't, I'm going to make it like me so much, it's going to join me on my team. I'm sad to see you go, pirate lady. Not so much you, Beckett, close, but not quite. And then we have Rampaging Ferostodon. Glad to see Wizards let you out of the cage for 5 days before they push you off the cliff that is retirement, known as rotation. And I'm assuming this is meant to help with decks like the Bant Scape Shift Zombies. It helps with vampires too. We'll just have to see how it all lands before they go extinct in Standard. Other cards that I thought were good, that I think we all kind of get at this point, but Search for Azcanta, I mean, this is just a great card. It was basically Surveil before we had Surveil, but then for blue decks, it got you those cards you needed in the late game. It flips, it does all kinds of good things. Search, I liked you. I think you're a great card, but we'll probably see you on the other side of rotation. You have a life after Standard for sure. A similar card is Treasure Map. I really like this in janky decks, kind of helped add some consistency, and it worked really well with Niv Mizzet in the Drakes kind of deck. Gave you the ability to search, draw cards, just provided all kinds of value because it's a treasure map. A treasure map providing value. Speaking of searching and exploring, Wild Growth Walker, and less specifically just the Explore mechanic in general, I really like these cards. I thought they were super clever. I think it was just an overall fantastic mechanic from a gameplay and flavor standpoint, A+ in that regard. And I think it offered a lot of flexibility that I hope is not left to the land before time, as it were. Ooh, that was a good one. That because like dinosaurs, land before time, you got Littlefoot, Okay, yeah. To wrap this up, cards that maybe weren't or just didn't have that chance to be super competitive consistently, but I wish had more time in the Standard spotlight, as it were. Arcane Adaptation, because this is the kind of card I love in blue. Gives you that unique gameplay strategy that you can't do with any other color. This is another card that'll be used in Commander for sure. I use it in my Reaper King deck. I really like the synergy with it. Jace Cunning Castaway is another card I was pretty excited about because I like token decks, so I was hopeful that we'd have a blue option like this Planeswalker, but just never got over the hump. It never pushed into that top tier type of deck. Even though you could do some really fun things with it, just never got to that next level. And I really like cards that offer alternate win conditions. So cards like Revel in Riches, I'm certainly going to miss. You can find plenty of use for it in Commander as well, but this is just a really fun card. Next is a card some might find surprising, and that's Wizard's Lightning. Now yeah, in mono red, it's this super efficient card that's really annoying that kept hitting us in the face. But beyond that, I really like this card and had the most fun with it in blue-red Wizards. Because in that deck, we also had our fearless leader Adeliz, who is unfortunately rotating out as well. But both of these cards were such a good combo. You could come up with 12 plus damage in a turn. Yeah, I'm going to miss that combo for sure. And now I'll save the best for last. And by best for last, I mean the absolute worst card that completely let me down and I was super excited about when I read it at pre-release. And then when I actually played it, yeah, it was terrible. Kamal's Druidic Vow. This was the card when I read it pre-release, I was so excited to just bombard the board with all of these massive creatures and just be like, boom, your move. And then I played it and I read it for a second time. And that whole only legendary permanence, yeah, sorry, it just did not work out, mi amigo. We finally got that kind of card with, what is it, Finale of Devastation. But yeah, Kamal's Druidic Vow. And actually, I'll throw an Opt, because that's a pretty significant card to lose in Standard. A few decks really do rely on it, and honestly, I just really like that turn 1 Opt feeling. You have that questionable hand. Do you think we'll get another blue cantrip in Throne of Eldraine? I'll just say, if we don't, I'll be a little sad. I won't lie. I'm going to miss Opt for sure in Standard. Okay, now I've clearly not mentioned a lot of cards that I think come to the top of mind when folks are asked, hey, what cards are you excited or sad to leave Standard? And that's because I probably view a lot of them as the bad guys leaving Standard that I'm not super sad about because of how polarizing they were and how they just forced everyone into a certain type of deck or to respond to a certain type of deck. Anyway, let's just go. The first good example of this would be Nexus of Fate, the M19 buy a box promo that instant speed, extra turn, it just turned Magic into Solitaire. Not a fan of that. Turning Magic into Solitaire, no good. Turning Magic into Uno, yeah, buddy, let's do it, 100% all in. But I actually think this card got a lot of hate because of how easily it paired with the second card on this list, and that's Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Hero of Dominaria? What? That is that's a bit generous at best. More on that in a future video. But the reason I didn't like this card was just because of how powerful. I mean, it's one of the most efficient, one of the most polarizing cards in the format since the day it dropped. In casual, I couldn't even bring myself to play it because it just felt too good. It was just too powerful. And on Arena, I mean, remember when people were jamming that infinite loop of Nexus with Teferi? It was a good lesson learned, that's for sure. You know, but hey, just best of luck to you, Teferi, in Modern. You were super strong, a crazy good card advantage engine, tempo engine. You just did everything. Okay, my third card on this list is my personally least favorite card in Standard that I could not be happier is leaving. Curious Obsession. Why? Because when mono blue was dominating, it was just no. You went turn 1 unblockable thing or flying thing that could also counter a spell. I went turn 1, and if I didn't have a shock for it, that meant turn 2 you were going Curious Obsession with protection in your hand like Spell Pierce or Dive Down, and you're not going to catch up with that crazy card advantage. You're applying a lot of pressure through the air. I could rant about that quite a bit, but I'm just going to say it felt like a card that was too strong for just 1 blue mana. I think the idea was you having to attack was going to be enough of a drawback to it, but there were so many answers to not really see that as much of a deterrent. So yeah, there's no love lost here. Even if the name of the card I think is pretty great and I love the artwork, your time, you know, you need to go be curiously obsessive about something else outside of Standard. You know, best of luck to you on those adventures. Next up is Chain Whirler in Mono Red, and Mono Red in general has taken a big hit with rotation. They're losing a lot of cards. So I'm curious to see how they respond and how they recover and what options they get in Throne of Eldraine. I'm kind of excited for Mono Red to take a hit because of just how pervasive it is on Arena, or at least has been. You see it in the casual queues, in the special events, on the ranked queues, obviously. So yeah, Mono Red, it's definitely a deck I'm going to keep an eye on just to see how it does post-rotation, losing so many cards. And a card I'll mention that I'm definitely happy is leaving Standard is Thought Erasure. That is not rotating out. Dang it, I thought I could sneak that one in. Okay, all right, you know. Next up is Settle the Wreckage. That card, I'm not going to miss an Arena when people do the whole good game, so you just lazily attack with everything, and then they go, oops, cast it. Then you do your own version of Settle the Wreckage, where you smash your keyboard. And I never made that mistake. I read about it. I heard other people who did that, but you know, we can just move on. The check lands are definitely something I'm gonna miss because I really enjoyed the synergy between them and the shock lands. It really gave us some nice access to some great mana bases to build all kinds of creative and unique decks. It's a little bit of a bummer that the best options almost always included Teferi, so that's, you know, it happens. But I'm quite curious to see how the meta shifts post check lands and see if the 3-color decks remain or if we push more to 2-color and monocolored decks after. And then the last card, yeah, I don't even want to say it because if you follow the channel, you probably know where I'm going with this. But there's one card that is near and dear to my heart and was in Standard. I was stoked about it. And now is, you know, off to greener pastures once again. And that is Chromium the Mutable. Chromium's just my favorite card from my childhood days of playing Magic. Unfortunately, I never pulled one of him. I'm hesitant to buy one. Something doesn't feel right about me buying Chromium. So maybe I'll just pick one up in a random Chaos draft or something like that. So fingers crossed on that one. But Chromium's the best. If you haven't seen my video on that, check it out. I'll link it in the description and at the end of the video. Rotation, it's coming. We can't stop it. It's inevitable at this point. I'm a little sad, especially to be losing Chromium. But hey, I'm excited to hear what your lists are. You know, is there a card that you were super excited to see leave Standard or one that you're honestly a little sad like I am about Chromium to be leaving the format? Looking forward to chatting with you about it in the comments. I'm very excited about this Card Kingdom sponsorship. I'm very excited. This is going to be awesome. Thank you for sponsoring this content. Thank you for watching. Genuinely appreciate it. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy. Peace.